Hello again. So in theory, you now have load and submit working in SOAP UI or something similar. The next step is to understand how you can use load and submit from a browser. Because once you have it in a browser, you can put it in a symbolic URL and hey presto, you have it in Siebel. So we're moving away from SOAP UI for these tests, and it requires us to have, obviously, a deployed project in Oracle Policy Modeling that has mapped to at least one field in your connection, and deploy and test. So you need to have an Oracle Policy Modeling project ready to go. In the previous examples, you used SOAP UI, which is very good, but in this case, you're now going to see how you might call it from Siebel or just from a URL. This is a good to know. So loading data into a project requires a data mapping and requires a connection to be done. All this needs to be done at design time. So you might have a simple project like the one I have shown here that is called Siebel Are You There? And it has first name and last name on an interview page in OPA. It's mapped to the contact business integration object, integration component, and fields through the connection that you've built. And you can call it by calling start session and calling with an ID. So you can see here in this example that I'm calling for sadmin. 0 - 1 is sadmin's row ID. And in the following videos, we'll explain how you can use that connection with a new project, build the project, map the fields, test it in a browser. And we'll do that for load as well as for submit, which is the end of the interview. So you can begin to understand how this all fits together. The submit part, again, requires a little more careful handling because, as I've said now at least 5 times, there are essentially 2 things you need to think about. One is making sure that a response is sent back to OPA. Perhaps something that's going to be displayed in OPA to say, thank you, we've successfully received your information and we've updated it. Then the second part is, what are you going to do with it in Siebel? Because this is workflow driven, you can do all sorts of things. It could be an update of a field. It could also be some sub-process. Who knows? But basically, that's what you need to think about and implement. So the videos that are coming up will do the load and submit and hopefully get you through the troubleshooting phase. Finally, though, let's summarize what it is you're going to be able to do at the end of this is call load and submit from a browser or a URL outside of SOAP UI, because that is how you're going to do it in most cases, as a symbolic URL.